أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمدلله بالعالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. ربنا افتح بيننا وبين قومنا بالحق وأنت خير الفاتحين. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. أما بعد. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good afternoon everyone. I'm Dr. Samhan Ismail from Faculty of Medicine, UNISA, and I'm moderator for the academic talk today. The Honorable Dr. Deputy Dean, Research and Innovation, Associate Professor Dr. Aniza Abdul Aziz, the Honorable Dr. Noiza bin Abdurrahman, Head of School of Basic Medical Sciences, distinguished guests, invited speaker, lecturers, participants and committees, and our students, welcome to our academic talk session streaming on WebEx. Ladies and gentlemen, for your information, this academic talk is organized by the Faculty of Medicine, University Sultan Zainal Abidin, Kuala Terengganu, and this academic talk is program that is offered after Professional 1 examination before they're moving into clinical year in coming semester. This best provides staff and students for their academic environment. With the rapid advancement of knowledge and technology, research landscape also evolved from the traditional literature search to the current advance of systematic reviews, including the bibliometric analysis. Artificial intelligence and algorithm were benefited to help researchers doing their searching with more systematic and efficient. And bibliometric analysis is a powerful method to assess the institutional influence of scientific work in a reliable and transparent way, which enables us to identify interdisciplinary knowledge flows and research related to important socio-economic issues. To discover the what, why, and how, we are delighted to have our respected guest, Associate Professor Dr. Rahimah Zakaria, PhD from the School of Medical Sciences, University Sains Malaysia, Kubang Kedah, Kelantan. She will be talking about introduction to bibliometric analysis. And before we invite her, let me briefly introduce our invited speaker. Associate Professor Dr. Rahimah Zakaria was graduated with MBBS from the University of Malaya in 1994. She then pursued her MSc in Physiology and worked for her master thesis, which was on the topic Studies on Pseudo-Pregnancy Associated Hormonal Profile, Endometrial Decidual Growth and Pregnancy Outcome in Streptozotocin-Induced Diabetic Rats. She was graduated on year 1999, while her PhD title was Expression of Insulin-like Growth Factors and their Receptors at Pre-Implantation Stage in Reproductive Tissue of Diabetic Mouse, graduated on year 2007. Both her master and PhD were from the University Sains Malaysia. And she joined the Department of Physiology USM in 1996 as a trainee lecturer and is currently an Associate Professor of Physiology at the School of Medical Sciences, University Sains Malaysia, Kubang Kedah, Kelantan. Her research interests are in neurophysiology, mainly on memory function, natural products and bibliometric analysis. She's now being invited by national and international universities like Perdana University and universities in Indonesia to speak about bibliometric analysis. Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear to our academic talk. This talk is ideal for our researchers and eligible for MyCPD and MMA CPD for 1 point. Without further ado, I would like to invite our speaker, Associate Professor Dr. Rahimah Zakaria, to deliver her talk. Please welcome, Prof.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon. Thank you, Dr. Samhani, for the kind introduction. Thank you also for giving me the opportunity to share my experience in doing bibliometric analysis. I'm sure some of you have heard about this bibliometrics or bibliometric analysis. And before I start, actually, I just like to share with you why actually I do this bibliometric analysis. Okay. This bibliometric analysis is just like doing other review, like narrative review, scoping or SLR. You actually go to the steps almost similar. Okay, we use secondary data, so you can either write this review paper without data, I mean, while waiting for your students to get their MSc or PhD data, or you can write this type of paper without student. Okay, so it's not that I'm encouraged to not to have students. It's good to have students while waiting for the students to do their experiments. Okay, to do their projects to get the results. You may want to see to do bibliometric analysis apart from other literature review like narrative or scoping or SLR. You can also do bibliometric analysis to get a picture on your research area. Okay, what are the most cited papers, those top authors, top countries, those important whether your topics are of advanced topic or just is already backdated or all topics. Okay, so you can do it by doing bibliometric analysis. Okay, so I think some introduction to why I actually go to the area. Okay, so I think I would like to share my slides. Okay, I hope you can.
Laptop kau Aisyah?
Tapi iPad dia tu boleh buat tak?
Okay.
Boleh buat ni dia.
Yes.
So,
Mana charger dia?
as I said, the term bibliometric is not a new term. Okay, it is already been introduced in 1954 by a Belgian librarian, Paul Otles, in the language bibliometry. Okay, and he actually defined this bibliometry as measurement of all aspects related to publication and reading of books and documents. And later, in 1969, when Alan Pritchard, he actually translated the term bibliometry to bibliometrics in English, and he actually defines this bibliometrics as applications of mathematical and statistical methods to books and other media communication. Okay? So biblio means book or paper, and metric means scale or measurement. Okay? So there are other terms that are currently used interchangeable with bibliometric. Sometimes people use scientometric, infometric. Those three sometimes, but as you can see from the diagram, the biblio and scientometric, they are actually commonly used interchangeable. Info is more broader terms, and the current one is metric or article level metric. If you see some of the publisher or they actually put the app metric, the H index and so on. Okay, so those are other terms apart from biblio. Sometimes you will find also scientometric, infometric. Those terms are actually interrelated. Okay. So what is bibliometric? The National Institute of Health Library, they actually define bibliometrics as quantitative method to study scientific research using publication. So if you say quantitative, it means that you need some interpretation. You have data and you interpret. And publications, it means that we only use publication as a measure. We do not use other research output, because when you do research, of course, one of the output is research publications, but there will be other outputs like your postgraduate, the award that you actually receive, or other invention that you do, but they will not be counted. Most of the measurement is actually focused on the publication. Okay, so this is one of the setback of bibliometric. But to do quantitative on publication alone is actually more than enough actually to give you a picture of your research area. I'll show you in short while. So who and why we do bibliometric analysis? Okay, bibliometrician also do bibliometric analysis for many to improve the indicators of bibliometric. We scientific disciplines, researchers from any discipline. It's not actually limited to any disciplines. Of course, there will be pros and cons. I will go into it at the end of my presentation. some of the discipline, the output of their study are mainly published in literature or non-index, then benefited. Okay, but those, in general, we will benefited from this type of study because most of our research output will be published scientific, in a scientific or index journal. Okay, there are also these bibliometric analysis are also used by the policymaker. Or if you see those ranking, university ranking and so on, government funding organizations, evidence for promotion, they also do use bibliometrics to evaluate the research impact or research productivity. Okay, so as I said, we use it's a quantitative measures to use and we use publications. What are the data from the publication? Actually, we use bibliographic data lah. Okay, what are the bibliographic data? It's actually the source title or the journal, the title of your document, the authors, the affiliations, abstract, keywords, references, and other data like language, document type, funding agency. Those sometimes also available in the database. Okay, so this data sometimes depending on the database. Some database they are limited. I will go into it in my next few slides. But these are the bibliographic data. We use only this data. In other words, we don't actually rely on the bibliometric analysis. Don't rely on the content. No, we don't analyze the content. We analyze this bibliographic data. Based on this, we use methods to see to answer certain research objectives. I'll show you. So, as I said, steps are almost similar to other review analysis like narrative review, scoping analysis, copy review, or systematic literature review. But we have to go through these steps as well. So the first step is to identify research question, to set a research question. Then next step is to select database. I'll go one by one to develop a search strategy, to refine your search query. And then when you are fine with this, then we start to do data extraction. And then from this, we do analysis using certain software. Like we can use Hunting, Publish, or Paris. We can use Moz Viewer. We can use RStudio. There are a few others, but I'm more familiar with certain software. And then from there, we can do reporting or writing of our bibliometric paper. Okay? So to identify topics and research questions, okay. Normally, I actually start my bibliometric paper. My first paper is with the topic that you are familiar with. Okay, you go with a topic that you are familiar. What you do is you go for Google Scholar. You go to Google Scholar and you search whether the topic that you intended to write or to do analysis has been published on the same topic. Because sometimes if already published using the same databases, it's difficult for you to get published. So you need to do some homework, check whether your title that you propose is already there, the bibliometric analysis on that topic is already there. You can also look at the bibliometric papers, the ideas on, especially on the research questions, what are the things that you want to cover in your paper. And through communication, of course, you actually, with your research group, then you get to find what is the suitable topics. Okay? So from there, you set research questions, and based on these research questions, you can, it will actually, you will decide on whether you write bibliometric or you do citation analysis alone, or you do bibliometric plus network or visualization, or you can also combine bibliometric and content analysis. In other words, you don't only analyze the bibliographic data, but you also analyze the content of the documents that you have extracted. And the last one is you combine all bibliometric, visualization, and content analysis. The bibliometric plus visualization, and these three all combined, those are you can find if you search for it. I'll show you the example. So the example of research, you can actually stop me if you have any question, okay? If not, I assume that there's no question. Examples of research question, you can actually write, for example, what is the trend in honey research in the last decade? In the last decade means the last 10 years. So the method that you can use descriptive statistics, either using Excel or having published or Paris, depending on what are the data that you would like to present. Or you can also have a question like, who are the major players and potential research collaborations? So for these research questions, you can actually run co-authorship of the network. Okay? Or you want to know which countries are the major players and potential collaboration, you can do authorship collaboration countries network. And you want to know the top journals that had most impact on your research area, then you can do citation analysis of the journal. Or you want to know the key areas of higher research, you can do co-occurrence of authors' keyword. There are few others, but I just demonstrate to you the research question will determine whether you are only doing citation analysis alone, or you will need also to combine with visualization or network analysis. Okay? I hope this is okay with you.
Yes, Prof. Okay.
Okay. So this is example. This is a bibliometric paper, so way back in 1994. And, they actually have started, right? This is, if I can share with you. This is a paper written by a group of librarians in UPM. Okay, this is in 1994. That time, I think there's no established databases like now. So they are actually using the the database that is actually the Malaysian. Okay, they use the Malaysian Agriculture Index, the one that is, you can imagine that time, 94, they use library catalog to actually do this bibliometric analysis. And what we do is actually tabulate the top agriculture journal in their library, and those are the citation analysis. Maybe a few more, but there's no visualization analysis or network analysis. Most of it are only citation analysis. Okay. This is one example. This is all example because current trend, normally we actually don't do bibliometric on citation analysis alone. We actually combine with either visualization or network analysis or with content analysis. Okay, this is another example, bibliometric analysis of worldwide scientific literature in mobile health. They actually run the analysis with limited 10 years period of 2006 to 2016. Okay? Just to show you the example, okay? They have bibliometric data. Okay? So in this paper, they found there's none on. I'm not sure whether you can see. There's none written on mobile health. Most of the bibliometrics written or published before were on mobile technology and telecommunication. So there's none on mobile health. So that's why this is just to demonstrate research gap. So they actually found out that there's none on the mobile health, so that's why they actually justified why they do this paper on they demonstrate their research. Okay. So what they do is they do bibliometric citation analysis, okay? The publications, annual publication for the past 10 years. Then they also do average productivity documents. Those are citation analysis. And they also combine with visualization method. They use what's newer as the platform or software that they use to analyze. Okay. The other one is this copy review and bibliometric analysis, I just want to highlight or to share with you a few components. Either you do bibliometric or citation analysis alone, or you combine with visualization or network analysis, or you can do content analysis plus bibliometric analysis. This paper actually they combine. So this paper actually they start with scoping. They do scoping review first. They do scoping review. Then from there, the document that they actually selected for scoping, they will run bibliometric analysis. So the number of data of people they use or document they use for bibliometric analysis is not many enough because they actually do scoping review, so they actually select the paper with inclusion and exclusion criteria, and then they run bibliometric analysis as usual. Okay. I hope this is okay. So first is you need to select your topic lah. You identify your topic, and then you try to set a research question because that will actually determine whether whether it's only bibliometric or citation analysis alone, or you want to combine with visualization network analysis, or you want also to have some start with scoping reviews plus followed by bibliometric analysis. So it depends on your research question. Okay. Second, once you have that the topic, research questions, then you want to select database. Normally, selection of database is for us is either you use Scopus or Web of Science. Okay, Web of Science or Scopus. Then of course there are other database like Google Scholars, right? Microsoft Academic Search. You have PubMed, Dimensions, and Lens. But those database, some I will go into it in my next slide on the pros and cons or some limitation of those databases. But normally we either use Web of Science or Scopus. Okay? And the next part about bibliometric analysis, for scoping review, you are expected to actually search from at least two databases. You cannot publish or you do scoping review with only one database. But for bibliometric analysis, of course you can combine, but most of the time we actually select the subscribe database like Scopus or Web of Science to do bibliometric analysis. So there are strength and weakness of different databases. Of course, for Scopus, number of students in that disk is maybe the number will not be the same, maybe higher. But just to show, it's more than if you compare to Web of Science. That's why most of the universities they actually subscribe Scopus. Right? But some universities they do actually have both Web of Science and Scopus. And this the database they have certain data that you can track citations. You have that H index data. So this data they are updated weekly. Yeah? So you can actually do it get the latest data. Okay, when you do. Other strength and weakness for Scopus, of course, the weakness is you need to have. Your institution need to subscribe, otherwise you will not get. You can download the data, but you can only download data 2,000 data per download. If you have 4,000, then you have to download it twice in the format that you want to have. And then you can, for Scopus, I'm familiar with Scopus because I am subscribe Scopus. We can actually download in this RIS format, the Research Information System, and also comma separated area CSV. So this RIS and CSV actually because certain software it requires certain formats. So you cannot actually run, for example, you want to run course viewer, you need to have CSV data. Or you run Hazing, I normally use RIS. So that format will actually run in certain software. Okay? Any questions so far? If you have questions, you can interrupt. Right? Okay, next step is to develop a search strategy like just other literature review or doing other review paper. You have to search, you have to have your search strategy. You can identify the search term from your topic. You can identify the keywords, and from the keywords you can actually identify the search term. Okay. Sometimes we use a phrase searching for if you want to see not climate only but climate change. Then you use a phrase searching, and you can also use a Boolean operators and or and not and so on. Okay. And you can have this truncation wildcards like educate, education, educator, educating. I mean, they will actually cover. Or you can use wildcard like the different in the spelling of British and American spelling. So you can use this wildcard. Okay, and you can choose field code function. Either you search only within the title, or you can choose to search your paper within the title, abstract, or keywords, or title, abstract. There are two pros and cons. Okay, of course, if you go for title, abstract, and keyword, sometimes you actually, for example, you search for melatonin. The title is none in the title mention about melatonin, but there's somewhere in the abstract they mention about melatonin. But sometimes you need to go through the abstract to actually eliminate or to remove some of the papers, so you need to screen. But most of the time, if you use title, of course, your search will be, the number of documents will be less because you restrict to title. But in terms of screening, it will be less work. Okay? So that depends on. Sometimes your research area is very new. You don't get enough number of documents by searching title, then you can opt for other field code function. This is just example. As I said, you have your title, then you determine or identify the keywords in your title. Then you create the search term. Okay, you can use truncations or wildcards. So for big data, for example, then you cover big data set, database, the algorithm. This is just an example. Okay. So then you have a syntax or a string which include your keywords, your operators and Boolean operators, and sometimes you use grouping or phrase searching. So that you get. Then you need to copy this and paste in your paper in the methodology so that you can repeat what you have searched to actually check on or do or repeat the same study as yours. Okay, the next step is refine the search query. Sometimes in your search, you find too many articles. So you want to restrict the number. You can actually restrict by looking at the last decade. So you can restrict inclusion and exclusion. You can also, like, for example, you want only to look into documents in articles. Because sometimes reviews, conference, books, lectures, there are repetitions of what they have published in original article. So you just choose original article. That will be fine also. It depends on you. And source type, you can either choose in the journal only, or you can choose other source type. Okay. And the subject area, of course, if you go to Scopus, there's a subject area. And you go to Scopus website, there's a subject area over there, so you can choose. For example, of your topic, you just focus on certain subject medicine. So you just or pharmacology. So you can actually limit to certain subject areas. Or in language, sometimes we limit to English. But if we do solely on bibliometric data and your data is limited, you don't have to actually limit because we are not actually looking at the content. But if you intend to look at the content, then you may want to actually opt for limit to English language only. Okay? Those are some of the examples of how do you refine or reduce the number of your documents. And this is the next step when you have actually identified the search term, okay, and you have refined your search query, then you are satisfied with it. Then you can start doing data access. Unlike SLR, systematic literature review, or scoping review, you can actually remove the data while writing. But for bibliometric, you need to confirm the search strategy. You need to actually satisfied with the search strategy before you proceed to the this step. Because if you want to exclude, you have to repeat all over again. What I mean is you have to again do the search and get the data that you want. So you cannot in the middle of writing you remove some of the documents. Okay? So you can actually from Scopus you can have export refine. This is Scopus extended refine values. Then you can open this file in the Excel, and you can actually use this file to use this data to actually plot a graph of publication trends, source type, those basic data. You can also analyze where you can also get directly from Scopus. If you click on the analysis of the result, then you will get the data as well. But if you would like to have a different type of graph or presentation, then you will need to actually save in Excel and do modification in your Excel file. Okay? And the other two format is CSV format and rich format. There are other format, of course, big type and so on. So I just focus on this common one. The not common actually that I'm familiar with. This CSV, we can actually use CSV file format to use to actually analyze using what's available. And then rich format, I use actually in housing publish or perish to do citation metrics. Okay? Is that okay with you all? I hope I'm not too fast. Actually, these are the steps. Okay, these are the steps. The 5 steps. Then you want to know what is the minimum number? Normally, more than 500 lah. If you have little documents, then maybe you need to combine with literature review. You need to combine with content analysis. Okay. Maximum number, there's no limit actually. But most of the time, if you are new, I think you may not want to go to above 10,000. That would be difficult for you because you need to actually download the file every 2,000 in different format. So if you have 10,000, then 5 times in 2 formats, then it's going to be like 10 times downloading. So it's a bit difficult for new. But for me, I actually, now I use more documents. But initially, I only use like 2 or 3 times down. Like 4,000, 5,000. Okay. So this is actually my first paper. I wrote on bibliometric analysis on melatonin research. Why melatonin? Because I actually had a few papers before. Either papers, review papers on melatonin. So I am familiar with the topic. So that's why I actually started with this topic. It get published in Chronobiology International. Okay? I just share with you so that you can see the steps. Okay? This is what meaning we will actually do it. Some I will show you some of the bibliometric they're actually limited to certain countries. But this one, there's no limitation. We actually download all the data from all over the world. Okay? And we actually limit to 2015 and 2019. I'll show you why. Okay, this just like writing paper, the other papers, you have introduction to introduce your subject. Okay, of course, at the end, you need to actually justify why you actually do this bibliometric analysis. As for me, this bibliometric study has been done on melatonin. So I actually calculate those previous bibliometric studies in table 1. So I just justified those studies. Okay, they are actually doing bibliometric analysis in the published in 96 to the later in 1916. From the same authors. Okay, so they actually use different source. They use Medline. This one use Web of Science. The other one is also they have different, this is total document. That is like the number of documents. So I justify that I'm actually looking at later, not 2000, because although they published 2016, but the data is before. I just continue with 2015 to 2019. That's why I actually limit to actually justify why I need another bibliometric analysis, and I actually do my bibliometric analysis using corpus. Whereas others they don't use other database. So just demonstrate why you need to do this research bit. And then you actually said just like other papers, what are the aims of the papers? Okay. So the data method, of course you write data source, search strategy, the information that you expect. So you will actually present it in this flow diagram, just like other reviews, like Scorpion reviews, or you actually put the flow chart. And so this describe what are the flow level of your search strategy, how many number that the final number of documents. So this is just like other review. Then you present your data, you analyze, you say that you analyze using this is data analysis, data source, and analyze using Excel, Portfolio, and handle publish analysis. Then you actually, as I said, this one, for bibliometric analysis, you analyze the data and you get your result. So you can actually so you have a result to discuss. So it's easy to actually have a result to discuss rather than if you do other type of review, you have to actually define or identify the topic, the themes that you need to write from them. But this one, because you have data, you analyze the data. Once you have the data, you present your result. One of the publications, so just to show you, this is from 4,411, 3,006. 7-8 from article of the article and this tabulate in terms of type of material documents. You can also show publication in the past 5 years. It's increasing trend. Of course, the citation, total citation will be decreasing because the later you get more citation, then you will get less citation. That is normal, the time factors. And then you can also visualize the author keywords using this most niveau. This is example of one that we have. Okay. Then you can also have this. This is the annual number of publications. This is from Hazim published of Paris. This data is actually obtained from Hazim. So you get total publication, number of cited documents, total citation per publication, citation per citation, published, cited, published, and then HTML to GML. You can also have top most productive authors in the field. Okay, if I compare, because the bibliometric analysis on this topic has been carried out previously, so you can compare the authors whether they are of the same trend or of different authors of different countries. Top countries compared to previous, it was United States, but China is getting up. Although you see the citation, total citations also getting China is overtaking. So you can, from this result, you can actually discuss. So that's why this is an institution. Okay, normally it's very with the authors. Published journal. So those are among the top journals. So I actually send the paper to the of this period research. My first attempt, but they actually replied that they don't publish bibliometric analysis. So I do my second attempt on chronobiology. But you can actually have some journals you need to pay ABC. So that's why you may want to ask why not. Some they need to pay ABC. So I choose the one that is the FOC. So this one and this one. So I write for the second term. Alhamdulillah, I got accepted and published. Okay. So this is just the general visualization of the core scientific analysis of journals. Top cited articles, you can also see what are the top cited articles in your area, research area. So if you have a student or you are running a research, you want to know, of course you want to know what are the landmark papers, what are the top cited papers. You may not want to miss when you do literature review on your subject, those top articles. Okay? That is just an example. Okay? I hope if you have any question, you can stop me. This is a sharing session. Of course, you can ask. This is actually my second attempt writing visualization and mapping of a decade of literature on honey research. I actually did for the last decade, 2011 to 2010, because I wrote this. I get published this year. So this is the paper. Same thing, but just that, just like other papers, they do introductions and then you just report one. So for honey, they already published on Epitherapy, okay, and on honey, on the other paper is on the pesticide residues in honey. But none is on honey research. So that's why I actually justify why I want to do this. I mean the latest one, the last decade of. So same thing. But for honey, I actually use Boolean operator of N naught because without this N naught, there will be honeybee, those related to honey beekeeper and so on. So we don't want to be interested on medical aspect. So that's why I use this Boolean operator N naught. Okay, in some of the translation. Okay, same thing. This one, you actually, from the start, you can actually look at other papers and try to set what are the questions that you would like to address. Because we cannot present everything. Of course, we need to select what we want to present and get right and publish. Any questions? This is the paper that I actually received invitation from Indonesia Librarian to actually present this paper. It was quite interesting because Journal of Apicultural Research is a good journal. And we get published very fast. That's why they actually wonder how I get this paper published. So that's why they actually invited me to actually share my experience. But I'm actually not a very experienced person. Of course, there are others in Malaysia. Just like share some little experience. So this is another bibliometric analysis on diversity. They actually combine bibliometric visualization and content analysis. I don't have to go one by one, okay? And the other one that we actually published is on 100 most cited articles in several bibliometric perspective. And this is actually get published. There are also others like 100 most cited articles on early childhood parents and so on. It depends. But for this about people I'm not familiar, so those main authors are actually those familiar. The three authors are actually doing on several stuff. So if you want to write on some topic, it's better to invite those in the area as well, because otherwise you get caught. And I do actually experience get phone call from editors of the journal to actually discuss on the paper. So it's good if you actually have a good combinations of authors in the area, okay? Although of course the bibliometric you can do any topic, but it's good to have somebody to proofread the contents that you actually discuss. So it gets better published. Okay. As I said, you can not only on one subject, you can actually do on gut. This bibliometric and visual analysis, they actually combine the two topics. Gut microbiota and depression. I actually do also submitted a few on this combination topic like genetic in schizophrenia, genetic in bipolar disorders, or oxidative stress in Alzheimer's. You can combine, right? Just like this paper. You can easily find papers in the website lah. Okay, you get the papers example, then you can actually find your own topic and write similar papers on that. And as I said, some papers, they actually like zebrafish. That's why I end up writing zebrafish on the 100 topmost, because they already published on zebrafish for one. And another one in 2020, they published zebrafish research specific to Brazil. So if you have already found the topic already published, better you actually try to get different aspects or different areas so that it get easier published. Otherwise, the same topic, the same is quite difficult to get published. Okay, and this another one. They actually focus on Iranian papers or the productive research. They use corpus database, and you can also do bibliometric study on a journal. Like let's say you have MTMS, you can do biblio on the MTMS. But of course, writing bibliometric study on a specific journal, it is best to communicate with the journal first, whether they are willing to have your bibliometric analysis published in their journal. If not, then it is quite difficult for you to get published. Kalau if you have like research technology, this one, they actually publish this study on this journal, okay, based on the database of the journal. So you can also do that. So I'm actually at the end of my presentation. And of course, in any methods, any topics, you have pros and cons. For bibliometric analysis, it's very objective. It's replicable because you actually presented your query, CTEC. It's inexpensive, of course, because you use secondary data. While waiting for your student to get the results, then maybe you can do biblio or you do literature review. Relatively little time to produce because you don't actually go into the content, except for when you want to discuss on the result. Of course, you need to do some reading to actually explain your results. Okay, not to say no reading at all. You need to, but not like doing other literature review like scoping or systematic literature. You need to go detail on the assessment, the quality and so on. This is like easier, okay? So it's scalable, meaning it can be at different level. You can have comprehensive coverage. You can just download everything that you actually decided to in your search query, then you can download. Broadly correlates with your assessment because you get your H index, G index, those citations, those are already of your assessment from the Hazim, so you get the data which already get assessed. Okay? And another one most important is the growth of literature and knowledge. So of course, in a university as a lecturer, you need to produce papers, and one of the options is writing or doing bibliometric analysis. The limitation is citation metric. Of course, you don't distinguish between good or bad quality, negative, or they cited for negative results, also you counter because you don't actually go on the content. It can be exploited, of course. Some people, they actually boost the citation by self-citation, but you can actually look into it, whether they remove the self-cited. And then non-standardized, if this is the problem, especially if you combine using different databases, you combine the data. You may have problem because different databases, they have different format of bibliometric reference, so they may not read correctly. Okay? And the citation patterns, as I mentioned, some disciplines, they don't publish their work. The method of spreading the knowledge is more towards books and chapters. But some, they don't get index. Those certain areas, they say they are not keen of this analysis because most of their area is not in the index database, so they will not get counted for that. And then you need to learn how to use the platform. So you need some expertise that you need to learn. Not high skill, but you need to get to know how to use the WASP window to do the analysis lah, or how to say. And it do not cover all area lah. Informal publication, communication, they not be covered. Just covered the one that is in the database that you have chosen. And these are the references. Okay. If you type, you can see videos. You can. I have this is by Prof. Ivy Amli from Utara Malaysia. I actually attended his course last year before I start writing. So that's why in my papers you can see his thing as well. So I actually learned from him. He actually recently published books on bibliometric analysis for the beginners. I have to do it. You can actually have just step to do, but you can also, if you are interested, I can also show you hands-on if you are interested, maybe in other time. I think that's all. Thank you for your attention. If you have any question, I would be happy to entertain if I can.
Very interesting topic. I think all of us has grabbed very important knowledge. This like a kind of another genre of writing under publication umbrella. So it's quite new to some of us. Then maybe we are quite confused with meta-analysis. Can you differentiate, Prof?
Okay. This is not meta-analysis. Meta-analysis, normally you actually do the content analysis. Normally we combine with SLR plus meta-analysis. We actually get the data of the paper. Data is not the data on the bibliographic data, the data of the study. But this one, we get the bibliographic data to analyze. The meta-analysis, we actually, sometimes we need to contact the authors to get the data, and we actually analyze the data. I'm sure Prof. Prof. Judy knows about the meta-analysis. So that is different.
Okay,
I hope I answer your question.
Yes, Prof. Any other questions from Sahabat Yuniza? You can unmute yourself and ask Prof directly.
Yeah. You can also write in the chat. I will go through if you wish to write. Or you can, as Madam Chairperson said, you can also unmute and ask questions.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Salam.
Rahimah, thank you so much for spending your time and effort to give this lecture. Aniza here.
I know. Our DPTD.
It's really delighted to have you. I am surprised that I actually received a really new knowledge after quite some time in the academic world. Thank you so much for sharing with us. It's very interesting. I'm going to quote your last commitment saying that if you are wish that you would like to teach us or you would like to share more on the hands-on of doing this, I think that's on behalf of the faculty, I will say yes. I think it's a really good opportunity knowing that you are already into this, and we hope that you can share with us more on how to do bibliometric analysis. It's a really new for me, although I quite feel ashamed of myself looking at the paper that you show us. Is already in 1993. There's already papers on bibliometric, but I even when I do literature search, actually it's a good approach, isn't it, Rahimah?
Yes.
To have this as on top of meta-analysis and literature review papers, yes, for you to capture the latest papers on the, yes, area that we would like to discover, especially when you do your own literature review writing. I just want to know very basic question from you. You mentioned about specific software that you need to learn before we do bibliometric. how can we learn that, and how can we get access to the software?
Thank you, Prof. Anisa, for the questions, for the comment. It's good, actually, it's a good opportunity, especially in this COVID era, where you are most of the time at home. You may not want to write on your SKKF what you are doing today. You're writing paper, searching for manuscript writing. So, actually, this is another opportunity. Before you actually write papers, write literature review on certain topic, you may want to know your research area, right? So research area, in that area, what are the top articles? I mean, as a student also, maybe the student don't want to miss those important papers, landmark papers. So from there, from the bibliometric analysis, you get to know those papers, those information. So it's good on top of writing, scoping, or narrative review. And of course, to do this, you need to use software. There are many other software, but I'm familiar with for citation and metric, citation analysis. I actually use Hazing, publish or perish. Of course, it's a FOC, free of charge. You can download. I will show you. If you are really interested, I will, insyaAllah, I will come back because I went to University Perdana. Dr. Teguh invited me because I had co-supervised one student with me. So I actually we wrote a paper on this bibliometric analysis. So he kind of it should be shared in the University Perdana. So that's why I went there during the research session. I think research sessions they invited me to give, but I actually showed them the steps because it's a longer period. But this one I don't expect to actually show steps because it takes some time for me to actually hands-on the steps to go to the steps. But you can have for citation analysis, you can have Hazing, publish or perish software. You can download it for free. And then for network or visualization analysis, I use WASP Viewer. This is also FOC. You can go to the website and you can download. Okay, there are other like Studio R, the R Studio. You can also do visualization analysis using that. I also wrote paper on that, but I'm not very keen of. I would prefer WASP Viewer because you can actually have more analysis. From the WASP Viewer, you can set the data and you can again analyze. For the thematic analysis of the data that you actually obtain from the WASP. So those that software are actually FOC, free of charge. You can actually download it for free. It's just to learn how to use, how to capture the data, the results, and to analyze and to discuss the results. It's just that you have to have your topics. What are the scopes of research questions that you will cover in your paper? Then we go on analyzing based on the research question because we don't have to analyze everything, right? Because you cannot actually submit a paper with 40 pages, kan? Some journals they are very limited number of words of pages. So sometimes I actually need to cut down because to actually to actually follow the general guidelines. So, but those software are free, and you can actually easily download from them. I can share with you the site to get the software. But of course, to show hands-on, we need some time, specific time to actually do hands-on. Is that am I answering your question? I think I have covered or answered the question, right?
Yes, Prof. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Prof, thank you. There is one more question from Associate Prof. Dato' Uday. Is Atlas TI software useful for bibliometric analysis?
Okay. Atlas TI software is different. Okay. I actually contact Dr. Aini Munira, is law faculty in UM because they are from the same university as Dr. Prof. Aidil. They are from she said there is more to literature review. It is best if you want to do literature review to analyze thematic analysis of the literature. But ours is we do of course as I mentioned we do thematic analysis. My next paper that I submitted, we do thematic analysis based on the data from the WAS Bureau. We don't actually get the data from the literature itself. I hope I answer. The atlas is actually they actually get thematic analysis from the literature. But ours, we do thematic. For example, we use author's keywords. And then from there, from the visualization of the author's keyword, we actually get the data like the total link strength, the densities and so on. Then we again analyze the data and we present in my latest paper, we present in enhanced strategic diagrams. We actually converted into a diagram and describe the novelty, the old publication. Those are actually I actually have a few collaboration with Indonesia because I did present one of my paper to them. So I get to know some of them the data scientific. Then I do some more advanced, not advanced, more detailed analysis on the data from the WAS Bureau. But the one that I showed you are just basic data from the WAS Bureau and the Hazi's published authors. We don't actually modify the data. So we get it there, then we just download and put it in our paper manuscript and we describe or discuss the findings. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. We can wait for the hands-on day.
Inshallah, we can set, Prof. Anissa, maybe we can set the time somewhere. If good is, if you have some topics in your mind, then we can actually hands-on some of the topics by actually looking at the Google Scholars and we go step by step. We can choose one topic, then I can actually show you the steps. Once you get used to it, you can actually easily, because I actually learned from online workshop as well. So from there, I from the workshop, I actually wrote the melatonin paper. From there, I wrote the paper. Then subsequently, I actually wrote other papers. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam.
Prof. Bani Rahima, I'm Saad.
Yeah, Prof.
How are you?
Fine, Alhamdulillah, Prof.
Okay. I found out that you have changed your profession. You become a bibliometrician, right?
Because of getting towards retirement, I did not get new students. I have students currently, but they are actually finishing. So with another 2-3 years, I think better I actually focus because we need to write anyway, Prof. So we need to find data.
Yes.
Thank you, Prof.
Very good job, Rahima. Very good. I do hear a bit piece of, the work on the bibliometric, but mine is mainly on the how to understand bibliometric based on the major databases, right? Only that, right? So I just want to ask you, when you did your bibliometric analysis, did you go across all database or you focus on one?
Come again, Prof. Did I go more?
You did bibliometric analysis across databases, for example, Scopus, WS, and Google Scholar kind of thing, or you focus on one for your publication?
Yeah, for bibliometric analysis, most of the time I only use one database, which is Scopus. Because if you choose other database and you combine or merge the documents, because they have different formats, sometimes you will find difficulties because they are not actually merging because of different formats. So you will find difficulty. That's why I choose to actually use Scopus database. But of course, if you do combination with Scopus review, you can actually add on, like we actually wrote the bibliometric on Honey. Actually, we actually recently published. Actually, we actually prepared the paper at the same time. One paper on a decade of honey research. So we actually do that as a scoping. So for scoping, we need to use more than one database. So for
Okay.
video, I only focus on one database, which is Scopus.
Okay. My second question is, how did you avoid pituitary journal? Now, a lot of pituitary journal, So when you started, how do you screen them? Did you follow the list given by a database? I mean, like Scopus, or how did you do that to exclude the pituitary journals?
Yeah, actually, Prof, for database, the journals, we actually assume that Scopus actually will detect those bad journals. They will actually remove from the Scopus database. So that's why, based on that, we actually use Scopus database. If you use other databases, maybe we will include those not so good journal. So that's why we actually focus on the established database like Scopus, Web of Science. We believe that they actually, or we assume that they actually publish, or actually the journals under them are actually of good quality journals. That's what we do.
Okay, that's interesting. Because Scopus, journals, especially, you know that within the same year, even they are not very sure whether it is still indexed or not. So, but you assume that they are free of pituitary journal, and your assumption, and you went into it. Is it right? Right, based on the.
We assume that because we already choose the established database, so we assume that they already take note on that problem, or they actually already handle the problem. But for of course, from the question that some of the papers they get into the database later. That's why if you want to do for this year, I don't normally use 2021 because it has not completed. You actually use the one that is the year that it has been completed lah. So it will be safer lah. Because sometimes when you do data extraction, you need to do it at the same time because because it's weekly updated. So maybe if you do it again next week, the number may be different, especially if you actually counted the current publications.
Okay. My last question: How did you handle the language? Because there are many journals depend on language. So did you screen based on how did you do that for language?
Okay, Pro. In Scopus database, if you go to Scopus database, on your left hand side there will be indicators. The indicator you can actually limit to certain language, to certain source. You can actually select the journal. Some bibliometric, they actually select the top journal in the area. So they only do bibliometric on that top journal. You can also limit using the Scopus.
Yeah.
You
The
can
reason why I'm
limit your search.
The reason why I'm asking is Scopus and Google Scholar not much problem, but WS is still struggling with language, right? Because it cannot include many languages. So for the Scopus is much better lah, for Scopus as well as Google Scholar. So as you are doing Scopus, so language not a problem, right? You can screen them. Yeah, okay. Very good job, Parima. Congratulations, very good job.
Thank you, Alhamdulillah. It's just a waste to actually occupy my time at home while working from home.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Okay.
Most welcome.
And Prof. Hatim, any other question from Prof? No more question. Prof, last question from me. How long it takes to finish one article? Usually lah.
The same question asked previously. Actually, it depends on your time. Sometimes for like this month, September, I'm not doing any writing. So if you really do, to actually get to the search, the final search query, the syntax. It takes a week or so because sometimes when you do the search, then you go back to the abstract. You try to find, like I said, the honey. Sometimes they actually include the honey keepers and so. So you try to actually finalize the search query, it takes some time. So you need to go slowly on that. Once you are there, then it will be faster. But the topic and the search query, you need to be careful because, as I said, you cannot in the middle to remove some of the documents because you already extracted. So from the extract data, you cannot identify. It's difficult for you to omit from the file. So you need to do it all over again, the steps. So it's best if you are actually confident with the search, your search query, the syntax, and then you go on with your data extraction. Before that, you actually play around. You just try and search and see what are the problems. You may sometimes, as I said, I do some, I don't know, mistaken genetic. You do gene, then you put the translation at the end. Then they go generation. It's not of your interest, generations, generators, gene, and followed by. So you need to actually be satisfied with the query first before you actually proceed with the. Once you are okay with that, then you can easily download the. I normally once I am satisfied with the query, I will do the data extraction from the Scopus. I will download all the data because you need to write the date when you download the file. So that when other people query, they say, okay, I got 1,005. Yours is why only 1,000? You say, I mean, because of the time difference, of course, there will be some difference. And it's like difference on, especially if you do search on current document as well. But if you limit to like 2020, maybe that's not a big problem because it's already there. But the current one, they may change with actually changes.
Okay, thank you, Prof.
Okay, thank you.
Tak ada lah kan soalan? Any other questions? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, pepatah Melayu berbunyi, perahu sudah di air, dayung sudah di tangan. Tinggal kita sahaja yang nak ataupun tidak. And the wise man say, never stop trying, never stop believing, and never give up. Your time will come. Now, we have come to the end of our program today. And on behalf of the organizing committee and the university, I would like to our heartfelt gratitude and greatest appreciation to our speaker, Associate Prof. Dr. Rahimah Zakaria, and Faculty of Medicine for organizing this event. Last but not least, to all participants from UNISA and other universities, especially for those who stayed with from the beginning till the end of this talk. We are really appreciate your presence. With that, I end this program with Wabillahi Taufiq wa Hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And don't forget to scan for your CPD point. Thank you very much.
Waalaikumsalam and thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.